Marcus Minucius Felix, Octavius, Episode 8. Quo in adventu eas non possum exprimere sermonibus, quanto quamque in patienti gaudio exultaverim, cum augeret maxime laetitiam, meam, amicissimi hominis inopinata, praesentia. Felix continues discussing the arrival of his friend Octavius into Rome and the effect that this had on him. The sentence thus begins with a relative pronoun, something which in English is nearly impossible. So, at which arrival, the arrival of him, eas being masculine, singular, and genitive, and referring to Octavius, non possum, I cannot exprimere, I cannot explain or express in words or in conversation, sermonibus, this being masculine, plural, and ablative of instrument, from the third declension noun sermo, sermonis, which is indeed masculine. So I cannot express in words with how great and what kind of impatience, quam impatientia, how great and what kind of impatient joy, gaudio, impatienti, is neuter, singular, and ablative. It's an ablative of manner because it's describing an ablative of manner, gaudio, which is neuter, singular. So with how great and how impatient a joy I was elated, exultaverim. Exultaverim, this form, is first singular, perfect, subjunctive, and active. It is a perfect subjunctive, or I should say it's subjunctive, because it is in this indirect question, quanto and quam. These are interrogatives, and so this clause is interrogatio, question, obliqua, that is, an indirect question. Indirect questions, or interrogatio obliqua, they always use the subjunctive in Latin, and that explains the mood of exultaverim. The tense, the fact that it is perfect, depends upon the fact that the main verb, possum, which introduces it, is a present tense, and thus we are in what's called primary sequence. So a primary sequence, or present tense verb, must be followed by either present subjunctive or perfect subjunctive. This one perfect because it denotes time prior. So then, the main verb of this sentence is possum. I cannot, non possum exprimere. Then there are two subordinate verbs. The first is exultaverim, which is introduced by the interrogative quanto and the interrogative quam. The second subordinate verb is augeret, which is introduced by this cum clause. This is another subordinate cum clause. Remember that cum with a subjunctive, there are three kinds of these: causal, temporal, and concessive. I believe that this one is causal. That is, we ought to translate it because or since, something like that. Because it increased, augeret, very much my pleasure, my joy, laetitiam meam. What is it that increased very much my joy? It was the unexpected, inopinata presence or arrival, inopinata praesentia, amicissimi hominis, of such a very dear man, such a very close friend. So then, the subject of augeret is praesentia, which is feminine, singular, and nominative. Praesentia is modified by inopinata, which is then the same gender number and case. So the praesentia augeret laetitiam. It is a laetitiam that is meam laetitiam, and it augeret maxime, the superlative adverb. It increased very much. The unexpected arrival increased very much my joy. And it is the unexpected arrival, amicissimi hominis, masculine, singular, and genitive, of such a well-loved man. To review then the style of this sentence, beginning with a relative pronoun, quo in adventu, non possum, main verb, and then two subordinate clauses, quanto exultaverim and cum augeret, but notice the variety, placing the verbs close together and concluding the second clause with the subject.